I am Miles, a 34-year-old software engineer who thought I had a happy marriage of 8 years with Jessica, who has ADHD. We have 2 beautiful children, Emma, who is 6, and Noah, who is 4. Growing up with an absent father, I always dreamed of being the dad I never had. Father's Day was supposed to be special for me, but instead it became the day I realized my marriage was beyond saving after Jessica publicly humiliated me in front of her family. Before I begin my story, let me know where you are watching from in the comments below, and hit that like and subscribe button if you have ever felt unappreciated by someone you love. Jessica and I met at my college friend's housewarming party 10 years ago. She was vibrant, creative, and had this infectious laugh that would make everyone around her smile. We connected immediately over our shared love for hiking mountain trails and experimenting with exotic recipes in the kitchen. Our romance moved quickly, and within 6 months I knew she was the woman I wanted to spend my life with. During our dating phase, I noticed some quirks in Jessica's behavior. She would often forget our plans, show up late to dates, or lose her keys multiple times a week. I found these traits endearing at first, attributing them to her artistic personality as she worked as a graphic designer. Her scattered approach to life seemed to fuel her creativity, and I admired how she could transform chaotic ideas into beautiful designs. 2 years into our marriage, after a particularly difficult period where Jessica lost an important client due to missed deadlines, she sought professional help and received an ADHD diagnosis. The diagnosis explained so much about her behavior, and I committed myself to supporting her through this challenge. I researched ADHD, extensively attended doctor appointments with her, and helped create systems around our home to accommodate her needs. Jessica began medication and therapy, and for a while things improved. She excelled at her graphic design job when she had the right structure, and clients loved her unique vision. Meanwhile, my career at a tech company was advancing, and I took on more responsibilities as a team lead. We balanced our busy lives and still made time for our shared hobbies and each other. We decided to start a family after careful consideration of how Jessica's ADHD might affect parenting. She assured me she was managing her condition well, and we were both excited about becoming parents. When Emma was born, I took an extended paternity leave to help Jessica adjust to motherhood. Those first few months were exhausting but beautiful, as we navigated parenthood together. However, as I returned to work, concerning patterns emerged. Jessica would forget to feed Emma on schedule, miss pediatrician appointments, or become so hyper-focused on a design project that she would not hear the baby crying. I started working from home more frequently to ensure Emma was properly cared for while supporting Jessica through her struggles. When Noah joined our family 2 years later, the challenges multiplied. Jessica seemed overwhelmed by managing 2 children, and her adherence to her treatment plan became inconsistent. I found myself taking on more household responsibilities, preparing meals, doing laundry scheduling, and attending the children's doctor appointments and handling bedtime routines, all while maintaining my demanding job. As the children grew, so did my concerns. There was the terrifying afternoon when Jessica forgot to pick up Emma from preschool, leaving our daughter waiting alone for 3 hours until the school finally reached me in an important meeting. Then the heart-stopping moment when I found Noah with Jessica's pill bottle, having discovered her medication, left on the coffee table, 1 tablet already in his mouth, before I could intervene. The missed doctor appointments became so frequent that our pediatrician had a talk with me about consistency. Emma's teacher called about her repeatedly wearing dirty uniforms to school. While I scrambled to keep up with laundry between work calls, Jessica would spend hours absorbed in personal art projects, seemingly oblivious to the chaos around her. I tried countless times to discuss these issues with Jessica. When approached calmly, she would become defensive, claiming I was exaggerating the problems or not understanding how her brain worked. During her more receptive moments, she would break down, crying promise to do better, see her doctor again, or restart medication she had stopped taking. These brief periods of effort would give me hope, only for the cycle to repeat within weeks. My resentment grew alongside my exhaustion. I felt trapped in a marriage where I had become both mother and father to our children, while also being the primary breadwinner. Friends would comment on how hands-on of a father I was, not realizing it was out of necessity rather than choice. Meanwhile, Jessica would accept compliments about our well-adjusted children as though she had been equally involved in their upbringing. Despite everything, I still loved Jessica and wanted our marriage to work. I reminded myself that she had a medical condition that made certain aspects of life more difficult. I treasured the moments when her creative spirit would shine through, like the elaborate birthday party themes she would conceptualize for the kids or the stunning family photo collages she would create. In these moments, I would glimpse the woman I fell in love with, and my resolve to make our family work would strengthen. What I could not predict was how a day meant to honor fathers would become the breaking point that finally shattered my determination to preserve our family unit. Father's Day was approaching, and after months of bearing the weight of our family's needs almost single-handedly, I looked forward to one day of appreciation. My expectations were modest, perhaps breakfast in bed, handmade cards from the children, and a few hours to relax without responsibilities. The day before, I took Emma and Noah to visit my mother, giving Jessica time to prepare any surprises she might have planned. When we returned home Sunday morning, I was shocked to find Jessica's parents, her brother and his wife, and her sister already in our living room. Jessica announced she had organized a surprise Father's Day lunch to honor me. Initially, my heart warmed at the thoughtful gesture, but that feeling quickly dissolved when I realized nothing had been prepared for this gathering. The house was in disarray, with toys scattered across the floor and breakfast dishes still piled in the sink. There was no food prepared, no decorations set up, not even drinks to offer our guests. Jessica had invited 7 additional people to our home without doing any of the necessary preparation. While Jessica chatted animatedly with her family in the living room, I found myself rushing to clean the house, run to the grocery store for supplies, and prepare food for everyone. Her mother noticed my frantic efforts and offered to help in the kitchen, whispering an apology for the surprise visit. Her father took it upon himself to entertain the children in the backyard, giving me space to work. As I grilled burgers in the backyard, sweat dripping down my face in the June heat, Jessica began regaling her family with stories about our home life. What started as amusing anecdotes quickly turned into something more humiliating. She joked about how I was the one who knew the children's shoe sizes, their friends' names, and their favorite bedtime stories. "Miles is basically the mom around here," she laughed, as her siblings exchanged uncomfortable glances. The jokes continued through lunch. Jessica shared the story of how I had once sewn Emma's ballet costume the night before a recital because Jessica had forgotten about it. She described how I kept a color-coded calendar of all family appointments and activities, because she just could not be bothered with all that boring stuff. With each story, her family's laughter grew more strained, while my smile became more fixed. The breaking point came after we had finished eating. Jessica disappeared into their bedroom and returned holding a gift bag. "I got something special for you," she announced to the table. Inside was a mug that read "World's Best Mom" with the word "Mom" crossed out and "Dad" written above it in marker. "Because you are basically doing both jobs," she explained, as her family forced polite chuckles. I felt the blood drain from my face as everyone stared at me, waiting for my reaction. In that moment, what hurt most was not just the public mockery of my parenting role, but the complete lack of recognition for how hard I had been trying to hold our family together, while Jessica abdicated her responsibilities. Jessica's brother Mark caught my eye across the table, his expression conveying both sympathy and concern. Later, as I was loading the dishwasher, while Jessica showed her mother her latest art project, Mark pulled me aside in the kitchen. "Are you okay, man?" he asked quietly. "Jessica has always been a bit all over the place, but it seems like you are carrying a heavy load here." I could barely speak as years of frustration threatened to surface. "It is just how things are," I managed, focusing intensely on arranging plates in the dishwasher to avoid meeting his eyes. "It should not be," he replied, squeezing my shoulder before rejoining the others. The rest of the afternoon passed in a blur of forced smiles and small talk. I noticed Jessica's parents exchanging worried glances, and soon they announced they needed to leave earlier than planned. As they said their goodbyes, Jessica's father embraced me longer than usual, patting my back in what felt like solidarity. After everyone left, I went through the motions of the evening routine, bathing the children, reading stories, tucking them into bed. My heart cracked open when Emma and Noah presented me with handmade cards they had created at school, realizing Jessica had not helped them prepare anything for me at home. "Happy Father's Day, Daddy," Emma said, presenting a construction paper card covered in glitter and drawings of the two of us holding hands. "Teacher helped us make them," Noah explained innocently, handing me his card featuring wobbly letters spelling "Best Dad." I held my children close, inhaling the scent of their freshly washed hair, fighting back tears that threatened to fall. As they drifted off to sleep, I sat in the darkened hallway between their rooms, finally allowing silent tears of hurt anger and betrayal to stream down my face. After the children were asleep, I found Jessica in the living room scrolling through social media, apparently oblivious to my emotional state. The silence between us was charged with tension as I sat across from her, gathering my thoughts. "We need to talk about what happened today," I finally said, keeping my voice low to avoid waking the children. Jessica looked up from her phone with a puzzled expression. "What do you mean? Was it not a nice surprise, having everyone over?" "It was not the surprise that was the problem," I explained carefully. "It was being blindsided with guests, when nothing was prepared, having to do everything myself, and then being publicly mocked for essentially being both parents to our children." Jessica rolled her eyes. "You are being way too sensitive. It was just some harmless teasing. Everyone thought it was funny." "No, they did not," I responded, feeling my anger rise. "They were uncomfortable. Your brother even checked on me, because he was concerned. And that mug was not funny, Jessica. It was hurtful." "Oh my God, it is just a stupid mug," she exclaimed. "Why are you making such a big deal out of this?" "You know I appreciate everything you do. Do you?" I asked, years of resentment bubbling to the surface. "Because it does not feel that way when I am doing all the parenting, all the household management, and working full-time while you forget doctor appointments, leave medication where Noah can reach it, and let Emma go to school in dirty clothes." Jessica's expression darkened. "Here we go again with you being controlling and making me feel like a terrible mother. You know I have ADHD. Some things are harder for me. I have supported your ADHD for years," I countered. "I have researched, advocated for you, created systems to help you. I have picked up all the slack at home while you have gone off medication, skipped therapy, and refused to use the tools that could help you manage your condition." Jessica's eyes widened. "How did you know?" "I stopped taking my medication. I refill the prescriptions, remember? The bottle has been at the same level for months. Just like I do everything else around here." The argument escalated as Jessica accused me of making her feel inadequate as a mother while I listed all the ways I had supported her through the years. She claimed I did not understand how difficult things were for her, while I pointed out that having ADHD was an explanation, not an excuse to neglect our children and humiliate me. For the first time in our marriage, we slept in separate rooms that night. The next morning I called in sick to work, something I rarely did. I needed time to process my feelings and decide what to do next. While Jessica took the children to school and daycare, I sat in our quiet house, the world's best mom mug sitting on the kitchen counter, like a symbol of everything wrong in our marriage. Later that week, I scheduled an appointment with a therapist to help me sort through my emotions. Dr. Harris was a calming presence as I poured out years of frustration, hurt, and exhaustion. "It sounds like you have been in a very unbalanced relationship for a long time," she observed. "Jessica's ADHD presents real challenges, but her unwillingness to consistently manage her condition while expecting you to compensate for its effects on your family is concerning." At Dr. Doplog, Harris's suggestion, I began documenting incidents of neglect over the past year. The list grew longer than I expected, each entry reminding me of times I had excused Jessica's behavior or picked up the pieces afterward. Seeing it all in one place made me realize just how unsustainable our situation had become. I spent late nights researching divorce and custody options after the children were asleep. The prospect of breaking up our family was devastating, but I had to consider whether staying together was truly best for Emma and Noah. They deserved parents who could provide stability, consistency, and appropriate care, and it was becoming clear that Jessica was either unwilling or unable to do so. My greatest fear was how a divorce would affect the children. Would they blame themselves? Would splitting custody expose them to more of Jessica's neglect without me there to intervene? Would the court even consider giving primary custody to a father, despite the evidence of Jessica's parenting deficiencies? A week after Father's Day, I attempted another conversation with Jessica, hoping that time had given her perspective on what had happened. "I am sorry if I hurt your feelings," she said, but quickly added, "But you know how my ADHD makes me say things without thinking sometimes." I suggested marriage counseling as a last resort. Jessica agreed readily, seeming relieved that I was not immediately talking about separation. However, when the day of our first appointment arrived, Jessica texted 30 minutes before to say she had forgotten and scheduled a client meeting at the same time. The final straw came when I overheard Jessica on the phone with her friend laughing about how I was overreacting to just a joke on Father's Day. There was no recognition of how her actions had affected me, no understanding of the deeper issues in our marriage, just dismissal of my feelings as an overreaction. That evening I sat alone in my car in the driveway, for nearly an hour, coming to terms with what I needed to do. The next day I consulted with a family law attorney who specialized in fathers' rights cases. She was straightforward about the challenges I might face, but also encouraging about my chances for primary custody given the documentation I had kept. "The courts are increasingly recognizing that the best parent is not automatically the mother," she explained. "They want what is best for the children, and your records show a clear pattern of who has been the more responsible caregiver." With professional guidance from both my therapist and lawyer, I developed a plan to proceed with divorce while minimizing the impact on Emma and Noah. It was the hardest decision I had ever made, but for the first time in years, I felt clarity about the path forward. I spent 2 weeks preparing myself emotionally for the conversation that would change all our lives. On a Saturday morning when the children were at a playdate, I sat Jessica down in our living room and calmly told her that I wanted a divorce. Her initial reaction was shock, followed quickly by tears. "You cannot be serious," she whispered, her face pale. "Over a stupid Father's Day joke, I said I was sorry." "This is not about Father's Day," I explained gently but firmly. "That was simply the moment that made me realize we cannot continue this way. This is about years of imbalance in our relationship. Your untreated ADHD affecting our children's well-being, and my complete emotional exhaustion from carrying this family alone." Jessica cycled through bargaining, anger, and pleading. She promised to restart her medication, attend therapy consistently, and be more involved with the children. She accused me of giving up on our family and abandoning her because of her condition. She reminded me of the good times we had shared and how much the children needed both their parents together. I have tried for years to make this work. I told her my resolve unwavering despite the pain of seeing her distress. I have suggested therapy-created systems to help you take on more than my share of responsibilities. But I cannot do it anymore. Not when you have shown repeatedly that you are not willing to consistently do the work needed to manage your condition and be an equal partner in this family. Telling the children was even harder. We agreed to do it together, with guidance from a child psychologist, on how to explain the situation in age-appropriate terms. Emma's little face crumpled when we told her Daddy would be living in a different house sometimes, while Noah seemed confused, asking if we would still go to the park together on weekends. "Both Mommy and Daddy still love you very much," I assured them, holding their small hands in mine. "That will never change. We just need to live in different houses now so we can be happier and better parents for you." We arranged for me to stay in our family home, with the children initially providing stability while they adjusted to the new reality. Jessica moved in with her sister temporarily, an arrangement that surprised me with its practicality given her usual resistance to change. Even more surprising was the support I received from Jessica's parents. Her father called me the day after Jessica moved out. "We love our daughter," he said gruffly, but we have watched you hold that family together for years. Whatever you need from us to help the kids through this, you have it." My lawyer advised me to document everything during the separation period, which proved valuable when Jessica began showing erratic behavior. She would miss scheduled visits with the children, show up without warning, demanding to see them, or make impulsive promises to them she could not keep. Each incident strengthened my case for primary custody. Friends I had grown distant from due to the demands of my home life rallied around me. My college roommate Jason started coming over once a week to help with home repairs and give me adult conversation. My neighbor Susan, a single mother herself, created a dinner rotation with other neighborhood families to ease the burden of daily cooking. The court proceedings were less adversarial than I had feared. Jessica's lawyer initially pushed for equal custody, but when presented with the documentation of Jessica's neglectful patterns and my consistent caregiving, they shifted to negotiating for generous visitation instead. The judge ordered a custody evaluation which recommended primary physical custody be awarded to me, with Jessica having supervised visitation until she demonstrated consistent treatment adherence. As part of the custody agreement, Jessica was required to attend regular therapy, maintain her medication regimen, and complete a parenting class. To my relief, she took these requirements seriously, perhaps finally understanding the gravity of the situation. Establishing a new routine as a single father had its challenges. I negotiated a more flexible work schedule, found a reliable after-school program for Emma, and arranged for Noah to attend a preschool with extended hours. Evenings became a well-orchestrated symphony of homework, dinner preparation, bath time, and bedtime stories. The legal settlement was finalized 6 months after that fateful Father's Day. I received primary physical custody of the children, with Jessica having visitation every other weekend, and one evening during the week, gradually increasing as she demonstrated stability. My healing process was gradual. Some days the grief of our failed marriage would hit unexpectedly, usually triggered by finding an old photograph or watching the children do something that reminded me of happier times. My therapist helped me work through these moments, encouraging me to acknowledge the loss while recognizing the healthier environment I had created for Emma and Noah. To my surprise, the structure of the custody agreement seemed to help Jessica as well. With clear expectations and consequences, she became more consistent with her treatment. The supervised visits ensured she was present and engaged with the children during their time together, and gradually she began developing better parenting skills. By the following spring, nearly a year after my decision to divorce, we had found a new balance. Jessica had maintained her treatment plan long enough to transition to unsupervised visitation. The children seemed more settled, no longer walking on eggshells or worrying about unpredictable behavior at home. Emma's teacher commented on her improved focus in school, while Noah's anxious habits had diminished. As for me, I discovered strength in myself I had not known existed. The man who had been drowning in an unbalanced marriage found he could not only stay afloat as a single parent, but could create a loving, structured home where both he and his children could thrive. The most profound lesson from this painful chapter of my life was about self-respect. By staying in a relationship where I was neither valued nor respected, I had been teaching my children that this kind of imbalance was normal. By finding the courage to leave, I showed them that everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, even if establishing that boundary comes at a great cost. This Father's Day will be different. Emma and Noah have been secretly working on projects with their art teacher, and I have found genuine joy in their excitement. I have learned that being a good father sometimes means making the hardest choices for your children's long-term well-being, even when those choices break your heart in the process. Have you ever had to make a difficult decision for the good of your children or yourself? Share your experience in the comments below. Your story might help someone facing a similar situation right now. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real-life experiences. Share this video with someone who might need to know they are not alone in their struggles. Thank you for listening to my journey, and I hope you find the courage to honor your own worth in whatever challenges you face.